The following is the agenda for the regular council meeting of the Borough of Compton Lake, Mayor and Council, a municipal corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on May 26th in the municipal building, consistent with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act. The meeting will be open for public comments. Public comments may be made at the designated times during the meeting and may be submitted in writing to be read aloud during the meeting. Comments to be read at the meeting must be submitted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting by email or to the clerk's office at 25 Lenox Avenue, Compton Lakes, and must be of a length that can reasonably be read within the time limit for public comment.
Okay, please stand for a flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President DeLine.
Here.
Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilwoman Kent. Here. Councilwoman Polidori. Here. Councilwoman Riker.
Here.
Councilman Bennett.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney, David Rutenberg, and our Borough Administrator, Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. As usual, I just want to read my COVID update for the week. As of Monday, May 24th, we have 3 new cases of the virus in Pompton Lakes in the last week. Thank you, Pompton Lakes, for being proactive and taking the responsible actions in the last 14 months. We are almost to the end of this nightmare and my reports. While children are still testing positive, they continue to have little or no complications with recovery. We continue to mourn the loss of the 15 residents. Pompton Lakes has about a 65% vaccination rate of its adult population. We are proud to announce a free vaccination clinic at Macy's and Preakness Shopping Center in Wayne for 12 and older, on Wednesday, June 2nd, next Wednesday, from 3 to 6. If you'd like to schedule an appointment for your child or for anyone over 12, just go to the County of Wayne's website and you can sign up there. Passaic County's vaccination site is at Plaza 46 Shopping Center, where the old Modell's was. The Health Department for Pompton Lakes and Wayne has a vaccination site at the former Macy's and Preakness. The state is opening up Friday, May 28th, this Friday, with the lifting of the mask mandates for individuals inside and outside. Also, the 6 feet of separation is being lifted. Please see below. There's some attachments about the guidelines. We can finally sit at a bar or a restaurant and have a drink or a bite to eat with no masks on. I'm excited to announce our first event in over a year. We will have a Memorial Day parade this Sunday, May 30th at noon. The parade will start on Colfax Avenue and go through downtown. Normally, we would have refreshments after. We will not be providing refreshments after, just for this year. The ceremony starts at 11:30 at the memorial across from Lakeside Bridge. I'm happy to say that we are planning on having summer camp and Pompton Day as well. Our summer concert series at the library will start in June 1st. Town Hall will be open to the public once again. We're going to ask that the public, when you come to the Town Hall, just please wear a mask when you're inside the building. We have all worked very hard to get to this point, and I thank all of our residents for continuing to do the right thing to get us back to normal. So that is my update from COVID. I'd also like to pass our condolences to a longtime member of the fire department who passed away. He actually happened to be the oldest fireman in the state of New Jersey, active fireman. Hal is his first name. Hal Backus. I think he was 96 or 97. 96. And he was still active. Came to all the meetings. Didn't go to fires, but was still active. Very impressive. A great guy. Really full of a lot of information. So condolences are out to him. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Council President DeLine.
Second.
Councilman Bay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Just step up.
Did you say that
I just need your name and address, please.
Wolfwood Row, Iron Forge Village, Iron Forge Square, Unit 10. You have to wear the mask inside, Stephen?
As of Friday, you do not.
As of Friday,
If you're vaccinated.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
As of Friday. yes.
Because when I listen to the meetings on TV, it's not the best sound system anyway. And if people have their masks on, it's
Very
very
difficult.
hard to understand what's going on. So nobody will be wearing masks anymore after Friday.
Unless they're not vaccinated, that's
Okay,
correct.
great. Okay, great. Maybe I'm stepping ahead a little bit. But I wanted to ask you if you could increase penalties in town for any destruction to public or private property. That we seem to have a rash throughout the country of statues and government buildings being destroyed by terrorists, so to speak. Could we increase the penalty for that?
But I can tell you, here in Pompton Lakes, we haven't had any real destruction. I mean, it's something we can talk about, but we haven't had any real situations here.
It's never...
And I'm sure, I don't know the quantity of the fine involved. I don't know what it is to begin with. But it's something we can look at.
Because if you wait until it happens, then the destruction, these people of destruction will say you're being punitive, you're picking on them, it'll make the matter worse. And who's to say it's not going to get worse? So I think, just nip it in the bud. Make the penalties now, so when it happens, on day one, we don't have to wait for a council meeting, a subcommittee, and a second subcommittee to take care of the problem. I think it's a good idea to do it now. Let's get ahead of the game.
And I'll talk to my police chief about it.
I
see if we can-
appreciate that. Give it a try. Can I talk about, I know you got, the council doesn't seem that they're going to allow marijuana sale here in Pompton Lakes. Can I address the issue quickly? Or
Whatever you want, you can bring up. Well, if I
Okay,
can address it,
great.
I will.
I'm glad that you're not going to allow the sale of marijuana in Pompton Lakes. We had one fellow that was here, I watched him on TV, and he said, well, if we don't sell it here, they'll go to other towns to buy it. Great. Let all the potheads go to the other town and buy it. But don't be a magnet here. It's a drug. It's a very bad drug. It's a mind-altering drug. And I don't care what all the surveys say. It's a mind-altering drug and it's habit-forming. And it's a gateway drug. You talk to the people on the street, they'll tell you it's a gateway drug. You talk to the professor in the college, it's not a gateway drug. But you talk to the people on the street, it's a gateway drug. I mean, it's a fact. It's here. But let's not be enablers for it. And as far as and one person said he was pushing for legalizing and selling it. He said it's a social justice issue. And isn't that getting a little bit worn out? The social justice issue stuff. It's not a social justice issue. And then there was also talk about growing it. And there was some thoughts of it would be a great place to grow in DuPont, a great place to grow corn too. However, if you have 20 acres of high grade, genetically engineered, top shelf, high powered marijuana growing 20 acres on the fringe of town, even if you have electric fences around it, at harvest time, you're going to have people from all over the state and New York City breaking in at night, trying to cash in. That's a free pot. It's bound to happen. And, of course, if the police go to arrest somebody, it's going to be a big to-do. Why are you picking on these people? You just want to get a little free pot. So let's not have it grow anywhere in town, please. If my neighbor wants to grow pot in his backyard even, it's not a good thing. People are going to come, kids, well, not just kids, adults. They're going to come in and try to take this stuff for free. So I hope we don't let the people even grow it in town.
So just let me address that a little bit, and then we're getting close on time. But I personally agree with what you said personally, but the state of New Jersey passed it 2-1 in a referendum supporting it. I think a lot of people supported the idea of wanting to smoke marijuana legally, but at the end of the day, they probably didn't want it in their own town, so they were assuming every other town would do it. Now, I am assuming there will be towns that will sell it, and those towns, if someone in this town would like to go buy that marijuana, I have nothing against that. I have no problem with them smoking it. There's also going to be some type of transportation service, like an Uber, that will deliver marijuana. There are opportunities there. About the growing and manufacturing, a lot of those are inside and internal, and you can't get access. It's not just grown like a corn outside, and there is tax revenue from that. But it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off of quality of life, in my personal opinion.
Exactly.
So I think we have made a kind of a decision as a group, but we'll see. We're picking an idea that could change in the next 5 years, but this is where we're starting right now.
Right, okay, good.
Now, we got about another minute, so go ahead.
Was that?
You got about another minute.
Okay,
so go ahead.
good. We've got chairs and masks. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
The following comments are personal and not of that of the American Psychological Association. My name
I need your name and address.
My name is Andrew Ferreira, and I'm representing my parents who live at 105 Hemlock Road. Ever since we moved to Pumpkin Lakes in 2003, there's a venison problem that's been all over or Summit Hill, etc. Ever since their displacement of their original home and the townhouses were built at Summit Ridge or Summit Falls. And at this point, the residents of the town have domesticated the animals and therefore creating a habitat for them that they don't migrate. The herd is just stationary, and it's becoming more of a nuisance at this point, and also a danger and concern since their population has grown out of control. And one of the first asks my parents have is this council can ask the Department of Public Works or whoever the responding department should be to cull the herd if possible. But to help alleviate the issue, I know you can't control the movements of animals.
Right, but our DPW is not trained,
yeah.
They would not be able to.
Yeah, but whoever the appropriate
Right.
department, yeah. And then the second issue that they wanted me to raise is that since there's been a high turnover on Hemlock Road, there's been a change in culture and such that the residents have been trying to self-mitigate it themselves, but it's been a little out of control regarding speeding around the bend at the where the gate to the floodgates is located. At that bend at the fork in the road of Tower Road and Hemlock Road before it goes to the main part of the street. And also that there's been an increase in the dog population, and therefore there is, again, the residents are just trying to self-address this, but it hasn't been mitigated.
Dog, you mean pet dog or wild?
Pet dogs.
Pet dog.
Yes. And there's been issues with excrement being left from the dog on the street and therefore not picked up by the individual or the owner in questions, therefore violating the borough code. So we were wondering if the town could address either both of those issues, etc.
So I'll answer your questions. I'll just start with the last one first. What I can do is I can send our ordinance committee down, a person who's either in charge of animal control or our building department to take a look for dog excrement. Very difficult to prove who did
Understandable.
it. But saying that, there's nothing wrong with a resident calling from inside their home, calling the police department saying, look, we just saw this happen. Police would then make a determination. They might even ask if there's cameras on houses to see what's going on. You don't have to say who you are. You don't have to give a report by name. So, that is really the eyes of the public for that, for the speeding, for the dogs, for all three of those. I will also talk to my police department about doing a little better monitoring up there for speeding. I know exactly where you're talking about, and I know your family well. So.
Yeah.
And I will ask them to take a look at the speeding up there because it's a, kind of an end area, so a lot of cars are moving there. They shouldn't be moving fast because there's really nowhere to go, but I will talk to the chief about that. And then we'll go to the deer. Look, I agree with everything you said about the deer. The deer is a problem here, in our town, every town, in the state. I've reached out to the state numerous times, I reached out to the county numerous times. They have to come up with a plan that addresses a county at least, I would hope a state program, that every town can jump into. One small town that's 3 square miles doing any type of cleaning, it's just 6 months from now, they'll come from the other towns back in. That's, you know, and look, I understand the situation with the deer. It is a problem, especially up there, because there's a lot of woods up there. And the county, for some reason, doesn't want to move on it, and they're pointing the fingers at Fish and Wildlife in the state, and the state is basically, at this moment, not really doing too much. Even if they came in with state experts that would either capture or what do you call it, give them shots to not have offspring, that would be a start. But unfortunately, we're surrounded by woods in every town around us. So that's my stance on that. But I do agree with there's a problem with deer.
And the issue is that most of them reside, because they're displaced from the top of the hill, they reside on the paper trail below, which is Tower Road. So that's where they call home. So they might roam, but they always find a place to rest behind all the houses on Hemlock.
Right, but let's just say the townhouses have been there a long time. This is a recent.
I know, yes.
But yes, there is a lot of deer up there. I walk up there and there's a lot of deer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Council.
Anyone else from the public like to address?
Want me to address that issue?
You can address anything you'd like.
That's an issue I've been talking about for years.
You got 5 minutes.
Randy Hayes, 443 Montclair Ave.
Go for it.
You can hear me?
I can.
I was just talking to Mr. Harriet. He gave me permission to use his name. His customers, more and more problems with the deer.
Sure.
Have you been talking to the other mayors and the other councils of the towns surrounding us?
I have.
And what do they say?
Same thing I'm saying. When the county comes up with a plan, we'll follow it.
You could take the lead and do it yourself.
I've reached out to the county. The county doesn't want to take a stance on it right now.
So it's just...
They have some of the largest areas is in the county's realm, and they're not doing anything with their population there. Rifle Camp Park is a huge area for deer coming in and out all over. They're not doing anything with it right now.
The State County, you're absolutely correct. The State County really hasn't done anything. Essex County is very efficient in taking care of their parks, as you probably know.
Maybe those 2 counties could talk, and maybe we can get somewhere with that, but
Maybe you could talk to Essex County.
talking to Essex County doesn't do any good. I got to talk to Passaic.
Just officials, you got to meet with them, how they're doing it, because it is getting to be more and more a problem.
I have never said.
Speaking from Shade Tree Commission, we've lost at least a dozen trees at $300 a tree. That's $3,600 of tax dollars that are gone because the bucks have rubbed them off. I do my best, and the rest of the Shade Tree does their best to make sure the tree guards stay on the trees, but people take them off. The ones that Mr. Bolzer put on, the 150 trees he planted, were inefficient to stop the bucks from rubbing the trees, and we lost a lot of those trees. So I hate to see tax dollars and new plantings going in, and the deer just destroying them.
Let's remember, those tax dollars are happening from the county, from other towns, they're all happening in the same situations. You know,
When the tax dollars come from the county, they come from us too, because we pay county tax.
No, I'm saying, like in Goffel Park, for example, they put deer guards on the new trees they planted. I don't know if an individual or a deer ripped them off, and they tried fencing, they put actual fencing around them. That didn't last, so they're having the same situation.
So the problem is not the fencing or the deer guards. The problem is the deer.
I agree.
Now, you're going to be doing the Wolf Avenue complex, 3 new ball fields, and you're planting all new trees in there. Who's going to be protecting those trees?
Well, they'll be under warranty for a certain amount of time.
Well, who's protecting? Who's keeping an eye on them? Right. What, few questions on those plantings. What species? We haven't heard. I mean, if at the next shade tree meeting, if our liaison, Eric Devine, can bring that information.
I don't think they're there yet, but when we have it, we'll gladly share it with you guys, but we don't have it yet.
I don't think that's been designed yet.
It hasn't been designed, the tree plant?
When you look at the size, it's not species.
Okay. What about the tree removals? When is that due to be?
Well, that's on the plan. That's part of the preliminary plan.
That's already marked on the plan, which trees are being
93 or 96 trees.
Only before?
Priority seven.
Okay. And what about possibly the 22 trees that we could save in between the fields.
Because the dangers of branches, they don't think that's a good idea.
Danger of branches?
Because that's where the public will be sitting to watch the games.
Oh, there'll be bleachers in that area? Okay. Well, Councilman Devine, at our next meeting, we're trying to have a shade tree meeting now that COVID has subsided a little bit. If you can bring us some information on,
As soon as I have that information, I'll be happy to share with the Shade Tree Commission.
you are the best. Thank you.
You don't want to say anything about the geese? I thought you sure.
The geese?
Yeah, because Kevin never comes, so you want to say.
Well, the geese, you guys did a good job on.
Well, you were part of that. You're part of that group.
Well, I only got out a few times. And we saw quite a few goslings around Twin Lake. Somebody missed a nest or two.
Yeah.
But,
But, just to follow up on that, Randy, myself, and a bunch of people in town are part of a group that goes around and addles the eggs for the last 10 years, I would say we've been doing it. And, we see a difference in the number of geese that are coming down. Now, we do miss some, and I know, as Randy does, or myself, or the other people that do it, as soon as you see that little gosling somewhere, you're like, you missed the nest somewhere over there.
that's right.
But it's, it's one of those things that we're trying to stay on top of, so we'll see how that goes.
And we're always looking for volunteers. In fact, Councilwoman Polidori had volunteered, but this year there was just so few nests that we weren't able to get her in to help us.
And I got to talk to Kevin. I don't know if they're still doing classwork on this. Do you happen to know that?
I do not know that.
I got to talk to Kevin. All right, thank you. Seeing no one else, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Councilman Lennon?
Second.
Second, Riker.
Councilwoman Polidori? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes, regular meeting minutes of May 12th, 2021.
So moved.
Council President Devine?
Second, Riker.
Councilwoman Riker? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims, as mentioned below. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
Councilman Bennett, is that better?
Yes.
Who's second? Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Consent agenda, does anybody need anything removed?
No.
Nope, go ahead, Liz.
Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Compton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Compton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda now, therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 21-165 through 21-176.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions?
So moved.
Councilman Bay, Councilman Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Resolutions for first reading, we are going to pull Resolution 2118.
Ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ordinance 2118, yes, thank you.
Okay, so would you like me to read the next one?
Yes, please.
Ordinance 21-19, an ordinance to amend Chapter 190 zoning and land use, Article 4 of zoning, Section 16, general provisions, supplementary regulations and exceptions of the municipal code of the Borough of Compton Lakes to include a new subsection EE to make cannabis establishments prohibited uses within the Borough of Compton Lakes.
Would you like me to? I'd be happy to. The mayor has asked that I provide a brief explanation. This is the opt-out ordinance that we have talked about at the town hall meeting and at our last council meeting. If adopted, this ordinance will opt the borough out from being a host community for any of the 6 industries, cannabis industries, that were established by the state when it adopted the legalization of cannabis.
Good, thank you. Motion to approve Ordinance 2119 for introduction.
So moved.
Council President Devine, Councilman Bay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ken.
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
No.
Councilman Day.
Yes.
Councilman July.
Yes.
Okay?
That could be the shortest group of minutes we've had for a while. Okay, under my report. Well, we'll start with, we are having a Memorial Day Parade, like I said, this Sunday. Be our first event in over a year, so I hope the public comes out and does their supporting of our great veterans in town. I have to thank Bob McGrady, who's been doing it now for 41 years for us. That's a pretty impressive thing in itself, and, I've spoken to other mayors, and other mayors are having to cancel their event this weekend because they can't get groups and bands to march. There's still that COVID scare, so a lot of groups don't want to be involved. So we're having our normal parade. I'd like to think that we're going to be social distanced enough that most of us will not have the masks on outside, and it will be after Friday, so that's good. So that's a good thing to see. I'm glad to have that come back. We are in the process of starting to put together Pompton Day. We are looking for some volunteers to help with Pompton Day. If you'd like to be involved, we're looking for people that think kind of outside the box with new events and new things. Please let me know, or Karen Murphy, our rec director. We only meet once a month, really, right now, but we're trying to put these things together, and I'll give you an example. I had a gentleman come up to me and said, did we ever think about bringing professional wrestlers in? So I said, sounds like an idea. Maybe we'll look at that. So, we're looking for someone to help with that, so if you're interested, please let us know about that. We are running our summer camp program this year. Right now, we have about 100 kids in the camp. Any interest, we have applications here, is that correct, Liz?
Yes.
And we will, you can also go online. We did get our guidance from the state on how the camps will run. If the children stay in their own pods that they're working with right now, they will not be required to have masks. If the pods become closer than 6 feet to another pod, they would have to have masks. So I know a lot of parents were concerned about their children having to wear a mask in the summer. Hopefully that'll slow down a little bit. Look, we're not completely through this COVID thing, but we're getting very close. I understand the pros and cons, and I got to give credit to all our residents and our businesses in downtown. Now's the time to visit our businesses right now and support them. They've had a tough year. We got to get them back on their feet to move forward in the future, to keep them here in town. Speaking of that, we have some major projects going on in the next month. I think under our Minister's report, we'll talk about redoing our ponton, which the town is taking on. There'll be a big redevelopment project that should start in about July. The building should start coming down in about July with new restaurants and bars and about 200 units. And then we'll also be having a new supermarket, hopefully, by July. These are all big changes for Pompton Lakes, and all good changes. The redevelopment will bring in tax dollars. We definitely needed a supermarket. You've seen, if you've been driving around, you've seen we have electric car charging stations coming in. The town is changing for the better, in my opinion, and I think everybody else up here. But there's going to be growing pains with that. So we all have to just take it a step at a time, relax. If there's issues, we'll address them, and we'll try to move forward. But we're doing this for reasons of tax dollars. We're going to bring in many more tax dollars to our community, which is desperately needed, because we all know, not just here in Pompton Lakes, but anywhere in Passaic County, our taxes are just too high. At the same time, helping our downtowns with redevelopment, bringing in businesses that are established. I mean, we have named stores coming in. Getting a Lidl was not an easy fight. I mean, it was very difficult. I spent 2 years talking to supermarkets to try to get somebody to come in. They took a chance on us in here in Pompton Lakes, so I thank them for that. We now have to do our part, and we have to shop at these stores. If we don't shop at these stores do go away. So it's now in our hands. I know everybody I stop, the two things I hear about is taxes and food stores. Okay, taxes we're working on. Food store, if you want to keep it, we have to shop at it. It's that simple. I think that's all I have right now. So, Council President Thorne.
Thank you, Mayor. On May 17th, I attended the library board meeting. The board discussed the continued cleaning of the library, as well as planned reopening procedures. As the mayor mentioned, a lot of the rules are changing, so they're just trying to adjust to those demands on the fly. They also discussed determining where a bench that's being donated by the Pompton Lakes Women's Club would be located on their grounds. And they discussed how to implement a lending policy for iPads that the library acquired through the CARES Act. So one of the things is that through the CARES Act, they were able to acquire a number of tablet devices. What they have to determine is, do they require people that want to lend them just to use them on site? Can they take them off site? So they're just kind of working through those details right now. This past week, I attended the North Jersey Alliance of Age-Friendly Communities. Topics were addressing digital connectivity for seniors. In particular, there's an opportunity for income-restricted individuals and families to receive assistance towards the cost of their broadband or internet service and possibly a laptop, desktop computer, or tablet. To find out more information, they can visit getemergencybroadband.org. Last week, I attended the Sustainable Jersey Sustainability Summit. The sessions I sat in on included a review of the current status of sustainable Jersey communities, new actions for 2021 and beyond, complete and green streets, the Healthy Community Gold Action information session, and information about a new Gold Water status action, as well as electric vehicle chargers, actually, and some new incentive programs that will be coming out, both for the vehicle buyer and for municipalities to locate EV chargers in their community. All these sessions were free, and they can still be viewed on Sustainable Jersey's website. Next week, Riverdale and Pompton Lakes is hosting a home and garden composting basics seminar through our Sustainable Jersey partnership on Wednesday, June 2nd at 7:30 p.m. The meeting is being held via Zoom, and you can register for the event on the borough's Facebook page. Earlier tonight, among the resolutions that we just passed includes the Sustainable Land Use Pledge. We've passed that again back in 2018, so having passed it now, we'll be submitting again for a silver status this year. Like years before 2020, it's expected that the awards luncheon will be held in person at the annual League of Municipalities Conference. PLRSA just wrapped up the spring soccer season. This is actually the first year they did that. I was fortunate to be a coach for my younger daughter. We had probably about 40 kids between the four teams. It was a lot of fun. Kids had a great day. Actually, that was just the Pee-wee, so there was also instructionals as well, so it's probably double that at least. Just to let everybody know, our registration for fall sports is now open for PLRSA, and also for PLRYO, for football, cheerleading, and field hockey. They do have a new program for 3- and 4-year-olds called Future Cardinals, which focuses on multi-sports introduction, and I hope to see everyone at the Memorial Day service and parade this weekend. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. One thing I forgot to mention, I was invited by the mayor of Woodland Park to a pretty moving ceremony he had about suicide with children, and his town unfortunately had 5 suicides in the last year and a half, one of them being a police officer. And what they did is they had a ceremony with 336 pairs of shoes from the people that unfortunately committed suicide. And it was a walking tour of the whole thing, and then they had some guest speakers, one of them being Governor Cody, who's been very vocal about his wife having mental health issues. And it was really a way to bring groups together to talk about mental health, especially after this tough time and this tough year. So again, we have a stigma-free group here in town. They do great work. But let's keep in mind those people that have been shut in for the last year and a half, and to just check out on them. I was very moved by the whole ceremony. It was amazing. Each pair of shoes had a little tag with a little story on it. When you read some of these 13 and 14 and 19-year-olds, it was a very moving ceremony. Okay, Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. The Historic Commission met last evening. We discussed the plan to acknowledge the inception of the various boards and committees and groups here in town. So we're looking forward to seeing posts, social media posts and whatnot later this year. Our fire department turns 125 years old this year, so that'll be part of the acknowledgement. In addition, the New Jersey State Police turns 100 this year. And as some of us may or may not know, there was a barracks right here in Pompton, right along Hamburg Turnpike. So there's plans to contact the state police and acknowledge that as well. I'm very much looking forward to this long weekend, as well as the parade that was held off from last year. And lastly, on June 5th, the Elks will be hosting, some of you may know, I study karate. It's been a little over 6 years, a little less than 6 years. Hosting our school system, our various students from New York and New Jersey will be here on Saturday, June 5th, and yours truly will be testing for black belt. So hopefully next time you see me, I'll have survived and healed up from all the bruises. And that is my report.
I have a black belt on right now. Congratulations. That's a lot of hard work on that. Speaking of schools, I did speak with the superintendent today. They are moving forward with a prom a graduation. Hopefully, it'll be almost a normal graduation outside in front of the high school, which is good to see. They will be having a prom at a building like they used to. They're having an 8th grade dance, I think, in the next month. So we're slowly getting back to where we started from over a year and a half ago. Councilman Begg.
I received the fire department report from Fire Prevention Chief John Keating. For the month of April, there were 20 alarms. So far for the year, there's been 106 alarms. The bid will be hosting on June 10th. It'll be hosting the 3M Band concert at the library. Their art show continues, and they should be picking winners shortly. You'll see those drawings up on the fencing in the downtown. They also are purchasing flowers for their baskets, sidewalk baskets, and that should be purchased within the next week or two. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Nice and short.
Nice and short. Okay. Councilwoman Kent, you have
Okay.
motions?
Yes.
Say with them or you want?
Thank you, Mayor. All right. I'd like to read a motion to approve a request to waive a $15 garage sale fee for outdoor event held by the Pompton Lakes Elks on Saturday, August 14th, 2021, from 9 a.m. to dusk. Police, fire, and first aid to be notified.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Begg, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Motion to approve request to waive Pompton Lakes Elks Lodge 2021 bingo license application fees. There'll be 25 games, $10 per game, total amount of $250. Pompton Lakes Elks 2020 bingo license application fees. 48 games, canceled 39 games due to COVID.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Just so everybody understands where that's coming from, they apply and have to pay for licensing when they do all the games of chance. They canceled a lot of those because of COVID last year, so the state is refunding them the money, and we are also going to refund them the money for that. It's not that we're waiving fees for the Elks Lodge in general. It's a waiving of fees that they didn't take events in. Okay.
Okay, and I have one more motion. Motion to approve request for the Pompton Lakes Riverdale Youth Organization to hold a fundraiser at Carlo Field on July 17th, 2021, from 5 p.m. through 9:30. The event will include a pig roast, food cooked off-site, live band and beer garden. Proceeds raised will go towards the new roof for the field house and other essential upgrades to the facility. All necessary permits and certifications of liability are required prior to the event. Police, fire, and first aid to be notified.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just to add to that, this is an exploratory thing at this moment. This is not a definite. There's a lot of moving parts with this, including liquor control licenses, police. So they asked to be put on the agenda, but it's not a definite that this will happen. Okay, now your report.
Okay, for my report. I attended the Zoom meeting for the Recreation Commission. They're very, very busy. They're bringing a lot of the programs back up again, and they're looking very close. They really need volunteers for the Pompton Day, so if anybody's interested, Karen Murphy, Mayor, myself, reach out to us. We're going to have a meeting at the end of June for the next Pompton Day meeting. If you have any vendors that you want to attend, the vendor list is out on the desk, and you contact us, we can help you with that.
The vendor list is here, right? They have
Yeah, it's out.
applications here? Okay.
Mhm, yeah, I checked it the night before I came in. There's going to be, okay, and the summer camp, I don't want to read yet what the mayor said, but the summer camp has 100 kids, and they have 35 counselors. So if, they could use alternate counselors, so if anybody has young student, high school age, that wants to be a counselor, they will take an application. They are going to have paddle boats, kayak rentals from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so that'll be fun. And they're going to try to get a tennis clinic, a senior picnic,
and a middle school camp. They're looking into trying to get that organized together. So there's still some things that they used to do, but they're trying to get it together because of the COVID. But they're working on that, and we should know that within a few weeks. Karen's going to work on that. Okay, and men's basketball, Bob Brown has moved, and he's handing the reins over to Matt Hennessy. So there will be a men's basketball program, and if you have questions, you can contact Karen. We have a Get Fit program, and I think there's one more session, and then that's from to May 25th, and then we're hoping to go outside after that. So we may have another program by the lake. They're looking into that too. So a yoga class. So they're very, very active, wonderful group. So that I attended that. The one thing I wanted to reiterate is how much fun and how grateful I am to have over 60 volunteers come out to Pompton Lakes to participate in the 18th annual river cleanup, town-wide river cleanup. And I want to thank Mayor Mike and the council for their support, and the DPW, Dan O'Rourke, they said they picked up approximately one-third ton of garbage, and they picked it up on Monday. The event was on Sunday, and we picked it up on Monday. We had the Pompton Lakes Business Improvement District designed the T-shirts. They designed and paid for them. They're gorgeous. Everybody enjoyed wearing them. We have big pictures of the whole entire group that wore them while they were doing this whole program, and they loved them. So we are very grateful to Valerie Cole. She's with the bid, and she designed the T-shirt. She's the artistic design person that works with them, and she was wonderful to work with. Our Passaic County Clean Community Grant paid for bags. They're for grocery bags, so they were reusable grocery bags. I want to thank Kevin Boyle for that. For helping me with that. I want to thank the chairman of the Environmental Protection Committee and all the members that attended, and that is Stephen Begg. We had the Pompton Lakes High School Environmental Club. We had about 22 students come out. Mr. John Toronto and Miss Kimberly Tanella, they were out with the students and guided them throughout the parks. We had Columbia Bank volunteers, and that was done through the Trails Committee in town with Lauren Venn. Thank you, Mrs. Venn. Al Evangelista and the fire department conducted their lake and water rescue team program. Along with that, they removed, 10 bags of garbage from the lake and from the lake banks. So thank you, Mr. Evangelista and the fire department team. Wendy's was amazing. They sent us over 60 hamburgers, and they were delicious. And they were the big hamburgers. They weren't the little ones. And everybody loved them. We had social distancing. We had everybody spread out, so it was very safe. And everybody really enjoyed the event. We had trivia, environmental trivia about the town. And we had gifts and prizes for those people who got the dirtiest or who caught the most heaviest, object that's, taking it out. I think it was a net. It was a soccer net, very, very heavy. And everybody enjoyed just participating in the whole program. The ice cream station donated 60 coupons for free ice cream cones. And I want to thank Ron and Julie Donkos for donating a lot of the drinks and food. So it was a wonderful event, and if anyone says that Pompton Lakes doesn't care about Pompton Lakes, or that we're not a community, I don't know what you call this. This is a community effort, and it was all throughout town. We had 8 different places throughout town that everyone picked to clean up their part of the community. So, and though originally we had a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about some of the garbage that was on the street, I think now you're going to see a really clean town. Hopefully it stays that way. And that's my report.
I want to thank you and Stephen Begg for putting it all together and coordinating it. You did a great job. And like you said, there was probably 65 to 70 people there, so it's always nice to see groups of Pompton Lake come out and help clean the community they live in, so nice job by everybody. Councilwoman Palladori.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start off by offering my condolences to the Backus family. I also want to thank Kevin, Dan from the DPW, Chief Clark, and Mayor Sarah for spending some time with me last week. Kevin put together a call to allow me the opportunity to work through a compromising situation to bring some restroom facilities to both Lakeside and Hirschfield Park. As we continue to expand and improve on our park facilities, I felt it was important to have a place for residents to be able to use the restroom, especially parents that have small children that may drive to the park and not be close to home. So I was very happy to see that, and I appreciate you accommodating me and making that happen. In regards to the parks, there is a lot going on, so it seems like the docking system has started to go into the water today. It looks amazing. Both Councilwoman Kent and myself had driven down there this morning to check on it. They are finishing the installation tomorrow with the completion of the handrails and the kayak launch, just in time for the purchase of the new kayak. So that's very exciting. That is going to look absolutely beautiful when it's done. It was phase 2 of a larger project. I did go down to meet with Dan from the DPW to review some of the last-minute items in preparation of the completion. They are finishing the split rail fencing and the stone path and the walkway leading down to the dock. So it looks great. I appreciate all the effort everyone put into making that happen. It took a lot of work. We have some benches coming in, tables in some of the other parks. So it's just great that, you know, after coming through a period of time where we realize how dependent our families are on being able to be together and be outside and use our time outside when we didn't really have many options, I'm proud to live in a town that has so many beautiful parks that we can share with our families that are so accommodating. So thank you all for that and for working so closely with me on that. It's been just amazing. I also want to bring awareness to the fact that the Prevention Coalition will be holding a webinar on June 15th at 5:30. The link and information to access the program will be on the Prevention Coalition website, on the Borough webpage, as well as the Borough Facebook page. The topic of the webinar is marijuana. It is titled Marijuana and Youth, What You Need to Know. And its primary objective is to educate parents on what is going on with the new laws around marijuana and how they impact youth. So if that is something that is of concern to you, I urge you to please look for access to that webinar, June 15th at 5:30. Let's see, what else? The water quality report presented by the MUA is also now accessible. The updated one is on the MUA webpage. It's always an available link. You can go onto the MUA webpage, and I think, Liz, we brought a more recent one to the town page as well, right? We corrected that?
But I'll make sure that the most
Okay.
current is up.
So either through the MUA page or the borough link to the MUA, you can access the water quality report. On a personal note, I want to remind everyone in regard to Mayor Sarah's comments about continuing to support our small businesses and how important that is. I talk about it all the time and how passionate I am about shopping local and our small businesses in town. One day last week, my son and I went out and we were able to check off an entire task list without even leaving. Hardware store, bakery, dollar store, so many different things. The post office, I was able to get him a haircut at the barber, and then we had time to stop for lunch at the new restaurant in town, and all the while walking up and down the street and enjoying the BIDS Art Walk project. So, you know, we had great weather. It was a beautiful day. I checked everything I needed to do off my list, and I never even left town. So we have everything we need here, and you certainly can get out and support our local businesses. I am honored to accept the nomination to be the next year Lakeside PTA president. So I look forward to, as we re-enter a full day 5-day school program, bringing our children back, that I will be very actively involved in that. And it's extra special to me because it's my son's last year at Lakeside, so I'm going to be very grateful to be able to be a part of that. And I am excited about being in the parade on Sunday. It's great to have our first in-person event and to be able to share this with the community. So I hope to see you all there. And that is my report.
Thank you. Just to respond to what you said about the water report, everyone can pick up this brochure, but, you know, there's been a lot of talk about lead in a lot of towns. I can tell you that the lead in our town did not come back with a source or did not come back as a violation in any shape or form. So that's good news to see, because there is a lot of talk about lead in the water right now. Councilwoman Riker.
Thank you, Mayor. You've heard a lot of accolades about the bid from several of the council members. A couple of things I just want to highlight. That one is that the bid is resuming its concert series. The first one will be that second Thursday in June, and they're kicking it off with a very popular local 3M band. The other thing that came out of the bid meeting that I wish to highlight is to send out kudos to Valerie Cole. She was really the impetus and the brains behind the Art on the Avenue. She's passionate about bringing all sorts of artistic, creative, cultural type events to our community. I think the Art on the Avenue has really been quite successful, and I just want to give a shout out to her and congratulate her. I also want to acknowledge the work of our borough attorney. I was delighted when in our packets to see that he followed the KISS principle by providing us a draft ordinance regarding cannabis that was really nice and simple. I think sometimes a simple drafting is sometimes the most difficult, but really the most effective. So thank you for keeping it nice and simple. As you know, the borough has changed its policy a little bit. We now sign the bills. The finance people sign the bills only once a month. So as finance chair, I sign them once a month with the assistance of either Bill Begg or Jen Polidori. One of the things that I noticed that really came to the forefront in signing the bills this week was the extent of the shared services that we have. Over the last few years on council, we've worked very hard to create efficient services for our community, and the shared services have increased and have really been working out quite well. And I guess this is a question for the administrator or perhaps the mayor. Are there any potential shared services, additional ones that we're considering or bandying around? Because the ones we have been really successful.
Not at this time that I know about. I know once we start doing some larger development, we will be reaching out to other towns or even our own staff to get more inspectors involved, and it might involve other towns, but we're not there yet to determine that. I don't know if Kevin has anything.
I'm sorry, I could hear the mayor, I couldn't hear.
No, he said
Nothing other than that, Terry.
nothing else. He didn't have anything.
Okay. The other thing is the mayor mentioned how redevelopment is really taking off in many planes. I just want to draw your attention. I think he was the one who mentioned that in renovating the former AMP shopping center, we have several EV charging stations that are being installed. In our email, you'll notice that we received an announcement that the state is working on creating a standard charging station set of rules and regulations, and I assume as we go forward with our redevelopment, we will have to make sure we pay attention to that as it evolves. It's working its way through the Assembly and the Senate. Is not quite there yet, but from what I've been able to read, they anticipate that should be coming shortly. On a personal note, over the years we have celebrated many life cycle events at council meetings. The mayor has been at a council meeting during his birthday. I know I have during mine. And tonight is my 47th anniversary. So I just want to wish my husband a very happy anniversary. And we've known each other for over 50 years, and the promise I can make to him is next year's anniversary, I will not spend at a council meeting. So, Mayor, that is my report.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to go back to the charging stations, I did have a resident call me last night to tell me he has a Tesla in town, and you cannot charge the Teslas at the charging stations that are being put up right now, and he wasn't happy about that. And I said, first of all, I don't have a Tesla, so I can't tell you anything about it, but I think we are in the process of maybe getting some Tesla charging stations also, so we would have both types of charging stations in town. Now, I do believe the future will incorporate a lot of electric cars, so the more charging stations we can have, the better off we will be. And if we do get some from Tesla, that would be great for the Tesla drivers in town.
Mayor,
Yes?
is there a charge for using those stations?
Yes. So it's like paying for a meter. They set their own standard on how much you charge. But I think that what Terry, Councilwoman Riker, is talking about is they might try to set a standard that you would charge. Because I was talking to a gentleman who said it takes about 3 hours to charge his Tesla, and normally the charge is between $4 and $5 an hour. So it could be $10 to $15 to charge.
So, Mayor, just to clarify for whatever it's worth, yes, Tesla has its own charging stations that do not accommodate any of the electric vehicles. And if you happen to have a Tesla and you go to a charging station, what happens is that the Tesla charging stations they're automatically through the computer system know exactly which car is being charged, and that Tesla owner is automatically charged for the use of that charge.
Correct.
Which is slightly different from the public charging stations where there would be a set amount per charge or per time.
Okay, professional reports.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, got a report?
Yeah, a couple of things, Mayor. We finally received the official letter from County Open Space that they received another $50,000 for Laurel Field, making that total of $300,000 from the County Open Space Fund. Under the CARES Act, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We have to have all of our funding requested by June, and then get the last reports in by July to get our last funding. Right now, based upon where we stand, almost $800,000 in funding from the county, we put our submission in for $53,000. The balance I show here is after the encumbrance for the hands-free at the First Aid Squad. That was one of the things we're going to do, this building, the First Aid Squad, and the library, and we just weren't quite sure where we were with funding. We wanted to make sure we get this. So now we had the money, so the First Aid Squad gets hands-free. And in fact, the thing about it, they're probably the people who should have the most. And so people in houses and face-to-face with people who have potential issues. So right now, that being said, we have about $12,000 left. I know I spoke to Michael at the library. He had some bills for COVID cleaning. I'm going to try to help him with that. The only problem is the way the bills are written. He has to try to get them updated to really kind of specify who was COVID cleaning. Otherwise, it won't be approved. So we're trying to work with him at the last $12,000 remaining for that. The county of Passaic put out on their website, and also I think Mike Corelli has all of our social media, that they have a rental relief program for both landlords and tenants. The tenants is income adjusted, so you should check into that if you think you need some help with back rent, so forth and so on. They also have a brand new website out. It's called impactpassaic.com/residents. That gives you everything. Look for where you can find a job, where you can get the different grants. It's a really good website. I'm not quite sure it's actually active yet, but I had lunch with the county administrator the other day, and they're very excited about this website. What else? We had a note sale. As you know, we sold $4.47 million in notes. That's the most we've had a note sale in quite a while, because we're finding out old notes, because they have to put the debt on for this year's debt service. But the thing is that might be said, but our net rate, the effective rate we pay, is 0.26%. Wow. It's almost free money. And that's because of the work we've done to try to make sure we have decent surpluses and good financial controls. And that's all reviewed as part of your bond sale paperwork, and it's paid off. It's given the borough a chance to really have some. I know Debbie Buchanan, our CFO, works in Ringwood full time. We got a better rate than Ringwood did, and they sold notes on about 3 weeks ago. So it's a sign that we're doing something right here in Pompton Lakes on our financial end. Colfax Ave, that project stalled for a little bit. We were moving right along, doing some curb work and doing all the handicap ramps. What had happened was the contractor forgot to denote his tree sub, and by law you have to make sure we have all paperwork as if he was a regular vendor. So finally got his act together, provided all this information on his tree sub, so now his tree sub can legally work on the project. We got that today. So we're probably doing the trees either before the end of the week or next week. Once those 3 trees are gone, we'll start the process of milling and paving. So we're getting there.
As long as it's not next winter, I guess we're good.
We're getting there. So the pothole contracts are back in. We'll probably have a pre-construction with the contract in the next couple of weeks. We did meet with Smith, Mr. Smith and his property, and also with Compton 5 to discuss, try and help them out to do some improvements before we get the pothole going, and we're going to work on that with them. Right now, Sherry Central moved its poles, Verizon is moving their poles. Once that's done, cable will come in and move its line. So we get very close to having our utilities in place. So I believe our game plan is to work on put the pothole in half on the side close to the high school and Lakeside Ave. That being said, we should go do that as they still, because major poles in that area will move by Jersey Central. So it looks like we'll be on a good footing to start sometime in June. The contractor we have is a good contractor that only work in this town. In the past, Grant Ave was the last project we did for us, so we're very, very excited about working with them again. In terms of we know the work ethic and their ability to get things done. Lincoln Avenue project is now DOT. As you know, this is a DOT funded project. You have to review the plans and specs before you can bid it out. They're now under review up in Metcon. Hopefully we'll get that back soon and go from there. As you know, as part of the capital budget this year, we bought a boat for the police department, trailer, and also a very small little dock like you can see over at the other side of the lake for access to the boat. That boat probably won't be in for this season. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be done for this season, given how things are very hard to acquire at this point in time. But the PO's out, and if we get surprised before that's fine. The police have been through training, so we're trying to go all our ducks in a row. That being said, we had GMK over there at the new launch site down the end of Lennox Ave, and he cleaned everything out, cleared it up, got rid of trees, and now we have a nice, if you were there a week and a half ago, it kind of went like, off the cliff, so now we have a nice flat launching area for the boat.
And that would be only accessible by our
Yeah,
police fire personnel.
it's
not for general public use.
No, there's actually already cemented in barriers. We're going to chain that across, and that'll just be for police use. The American Recovery Act, I was on the phone with our consultant to talk about going forward. One of the things we have to do first is we have to do a revenue assessment. Whether or not we're going to claim revenue loss, we're required to do a revenue assessment. And I'm not quite sure who was smoking the cannabis in Washington when they put together the revenue assessment language, but it confused the heck out of me. And so I sent it to our auditor, and it confused the heck out of him. But as it so happens, because government likes to just grow upon itself, the state has now said, no, don't use the federal, we're going to give you a DCA revenue assessment and how to calculate the revenue loss. So the idea is that once our revenue loss is calculated, we should put that money aside in case there is potential issues down the road. It's a sort of a guarantee. So I'm hoping we get $500,000 for this first trench of money sometime this year. We'll put that revenue loss aside and then look to try to do some programs. One of the things that we're looking at is some social programs, try to provide our own grants and aid to, stores, residents, things like that. And also, if we can put a trench aside because again, it doesn't say it in the bill, but anything that was covered under CARES is kind of covered in this bill. So there's things we might have missed for CARES, like we paid for our county money, might go back and then do something. I asked all the staff to provide me with their input, and for the most part, all departments are very happy, but I did get a couple of crazy things like, can you buy me a car, can you buy me a truck? And I was like, no, I'm not buying cars and trucks. And this is really the important things for important people. So that's how we're at. A lot of things going on, and we're moving along.
Going through this whole process this last 14 months, I can tell you that Kevin has done a pretty good job in identifying the money that was given to us to spend for COVID and then spending it. Part of the problem is you have to spend it or you lose it. I know some towns had issues in spending the money, and when they don't spend it, they have to give it back. I think we almost got down to zero, right?
We will.
Yeah, we'll get down to zero, and we put a lot of new equipment into town because of it. And this is equipment that we normally would not buy because it's very expensive. So, I thank him for doing that. It was a lot of time between him and the staff and our grant writer to make it all work. Again, it's very complicated wording on how you do all these things. And our grant writer, really was helpful in kind of guiding us in the right directions. She works with a lot of bigger towns, so she knew what would be accepted and not be accepted, and knew what we could put in for and not be put in for. So those things did work to our advantage. Any questions for the administrator?
Just part of that is what you've done in the building itself.
All this stuff, all this plexiglass, the plexiglass in the building, the hands-free.
The hands-free on the door.
Oh, something.
Any other questions? Okay, no. Could I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments?
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori, who is Council President Klein. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hold on, I gotta move the microphone back for you. All right, you're good to go.
Wolf Woodrow again, Iron Forge Square. I just wanted to know if you could explain this rental ordinance 2118. What is that all about?
Kevin, you want to give a little update on that?
2118?
That's the rental reimbursement, right? Oh, that's the one we pulled? Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's pulled, that's not discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I knew you said something about it, but I didn't quite hear it.
No, we didn't talk about it, so that's
Very
right.
good.
I thought you were talking about the rental reimbursement for...
Okay, and I do want to thank Mayor and Council and all the people behind the scenes that are making these positive changes in town. It's going to be exciting to see when things come down and all new stuff goes up. It's going to be nice.
It's
Thank
change.
you.
Change is hard, but it's change.
Change, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I got a call from the resident about the work that was going on at the end of Lenox Avenue behind the Board of Education. Kevin just explained it. Quite a few trees were taken out, and a lot of trees were damaged. What is the purpose of the town buying a new boat for the police department for the lake? Was there a reason why that was done?
Yeah, because we've had a lot of complaints about activity on the lake that we can't go after because we're not on the lake. So, skidoos and all those things that are not allowed on the lake. Also, to remove some damaged limbs and things that are in the lake, we can now use this boat with the fire department to remove those kind of things. And then emergency saves. Anytime we have to get to the lake, we have to call the fire department to bring their boat over, and God forbid it's an important emergency. By the time we get out there, it could be a problem. So we need a boat ready to go. That's why the dock is put there.
So this-
anchoring that boat right there.
Excuse me?
They're anchoring that boat right there.
So this is strictly a police boat?
Police boat only, yes.
Police boat
Oh,
only?
police and fire.
Excuse me? Shade Tree can't use this boat? Okay.
Police and fire, and they actually just went to training on it. We sent 17 officers 2 weeks ago for training, all day.
Right. Does the town of Wayne have a boat that they use on the lake?
Yes.
They do?
Yes. They don't leave it on the lake, but they have a boat, yes.
Town of Oakland also has one?
Don't know about it.
So do we have to honor the boundaries between Oakland and Wayne?
Yes. Yes, we
So
cannot,
we get a new boat before Shade Tree gets a bucket truck?
again, the bucket truck,
And they get trained also?
they get trained.
And the boat will be insured also,
Sure?
which was the bucket truck you said, geez, we would have to insure it and train them.
But I think the bucket truck would cost double or triple what the boat is costing us.
But we get to use it 12 months of the year. You only get to use the boat 9 months of the year.
I don't think you can save lives with a bucket truck.
Yeah, a bucket truck is not saving someone unless it's a cat from a tree, but this could save lives on a lake. It's much
Tree limbs fall and hurt people, saves lives.
The bucket truck is not going to be there when the tree limb is falling on someone. If I'm drowning in the lake, I would like to know that we have a boat to come.
That's why we have an arborist who comes and does what we need to do if there's a problem.
I tried for many years to win this battle, but I don't seem to win this battle, do I?
You can keep trying, I'm not saying you can't keep trying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Second.
Motion, Riker.
Council President DeWine, Councilwoman Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor? Anybody? Oh, okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Who's that? Councilman Bennett? Do I have a second?
Second.
Council President, DeWine. Thank you, everyone, good night.
Right, thank you.
It's hard to tell.
I have two questions.
Yeah, I guess.